Once upon a time, in the mighty kingdom of Zortha, Prince Jahi ruled with power and control. But one night, at a grand masquerade, a dancer in a golden mask touched him. And that single touch made him go mad about her. Prince Jahi was never meant to be king. That was his brother's fate. But when his brother died mysteriously, the crown was forced onto Jahi's head. Now, he was surrounded by people who lied to him, people who wanted to control him. He learned one thing. Power was a cage. He didn't trust anyone. He didn't love anyone. Until her, the masked seductress. She was different. She wasn't afraid of him. He had chased her, thinking he could own her. But now, he understood the truth. She was the only one who could set him free. The Grand African Masquerade Ball was the most awaited event of the year. It was a night of mystery, power, and wealth. Only the richest men were invited, dressed in luxurious robes and golden masks. But tonight, one dancer held everyone's attention. She was known as the Masked Seductress. Her identity was a mystery. She wore a flowing red dress, her golden mask hiding her face. Every year she danced for the highest bidder, teasing but never revealing who she was. The wealthiest men competed for a chance to see behind the mask, offering gold, jewels, and power. Yet no one had ever won that prize. The prince watched from his seat, silent and still. He was not just any prince. He was the future king, famous for his arrogance. He believed everything in the world could be his. Women admired him. He had come to the masquerade not for the dance, but to show his presence, to remind the world of his power. But when she stepped onto the floor, something changed. The bidding began. Gold, jewels, promises of land, all offered for her dance. The prince raised his hand, his voice steady. "Everything I own," he declared. Gasps filled the hall. The masked seductress paused. Her eyes met his, and she smiled. Men shouted their offers. 100 gold coins! 500! 1,000! But she only smiled, moving beyond their reach. The prince's heart pounded. No woman had ever fascinated him like this. He had to know who she was. As the final note of music played, she twirled one last time and vanished into the shadows. The prince stood up. For the first time in his life, he wanted something he could not have. The prince could not sleep. The moment the masked seductress disappeared, something inside him burned. He had never wanted anything as much as he wanted to see her face. He was a man who owned everything he desired. And now, he could not let this mystery go. "She will be mine," he whispered. At dawn, he summoned his royal guards. "Find her," he ordered. "Search every corner of the city. Bring me the woman in the golden mask." The guards obeyed, questioning dancers, merchants, and servants. But no one knew who she was. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. The prince grew restless. If the guards could not find her, he would search himself. Disguised in a hooded cloak, he rode into the darkest parts of the city. He met informants in candlelit alleys, bribing them with gold. "She must have left a trace," he insisted, but every answer was the same. Nothing. Then, in the corner of a dimly lit tavern, an old woman sat watching him. Her eyes were sharp, her face lined with age. When he turned to leave, her voice stopped him. "Some women wear masks not for mystery," she said, her tone heavy with meaning, "but for survival." The prince froze. "What do you mean?" he asked. The old woman only smiled, sipping her tea. Confused, the prince stepped away. His mind raced with questions. Was the masked seductress hiding from someone? Was there danger? Or was she playing a game beyond his understanding? One thing was certain. He would not stop until he knew the truth. Days passed, but the prince's obsession only grew stronger. He spent his nights restless, his mind haunted by the masked woman's movements, her mystery, her defiance. Then, one afternoon, while roaming the hidden marketplace disguised in a simple robe, he saw her. She was dressed differently now. A dark shawl draped over her shoulders, her golden mask replaced with a simpler one. But he knew it was her, the way she moved, the way she carried herself. He could never mistake her for anyone else. His heart pounded. Silently, he followed her through the winding paths of the market. She weaved through the crowd like a shadow, slipping between stalls, never looking back. The prince quickened his steps, determined not to lose her. But then, she was gone, vanished. Frustration burned in his chest. How had she escaped so easily? That night he sat in his chamber staring at the flickering candlelight. His mind was restless, his body tense. Then the softest rustle of fabric broke the silence. He turned sharply. There, standing at the edge of his chamber, was her. She was masked, as always. The dim light of the candles danced across her golden faceplate, her red dress hugging her figure. His breath caught. "How did you get in?" he asked, rising to his feet. She smiled, slow, knowing. "A man so powerful," she teased, stepping closer. "Yet so easy to deceive." His pulse thundered as she came within reach. He lifted a hand, fingers brushing the silk of her sleeve. "You tempt me," he murmured. She leaned in, so close that he could feel the warmth of her breath. "I do more than that," she whispered. His hands gripped her waist, his control slipping. But before he could pull her closer, she pressed a single finger to his lips. "You can touch," she said, her voice soft but firm. "But you will never own me." And just as quickly as she had come, she slipped into the shadows, leaving the prince standing alone, more obsessed than ever. The next night, the prince waited. He knew she would come, and she did. She stepped into his chamber like a whisper of silk, her golden mask gleaming under the candlelight. He smirked, arms crossed. "You play with fire," he said. She tilted her head. "And you enjoy the burn." He stepped closer, eyes locked onto hers. "Let's make a wager," he said. "If I unmask you, you will be mine." She laughed, a soft teasing sound. "And if you fail?" He hesitated. No man had ever bested him before. "What do you want?" he asked. She leaned in, lips just inches from his. "Your heart," she whispered. His breath hitched, but he masked it with a smirk. "Then it's a game." She twirled away, her red dress swirling like fire. "Catch me, if you can." And so, the game began. Each night she returned. Each night he tried to unmask her. Sometimes he moved fast, reaching for the golden mask, only for her to slip from his grasp like smoke. Other times he played patiently, luring her in with words and heated glances, waiting for her to drop her guard. But she never did. She danced around him, laughing, teasing, always just out of reach. And slowly, something unexpected happened. The prince, once obsessed with control, found himself falling. Not for her beauty, not for the mystery, but for her. Her fire, her defiance, the way she never let him win. And that terrified him. Because for the first time in his life, he was losing. The game had gone on for too long. The prince was tired of chasing, tired of wanting, tired of losing. Tonight, he would win. The moment she slipped into his chamber, he was ready. She moved as gracefully as ever, her red dress hugging her form, her golden mask hiding her face. But tonight, he was not playing. Before she could tease him, he caught her wrist and pulled her close. She gasped, struggling, but he was stronger. "This ends now," he murmured, fingers grazing the edge of her mask. She froze. For the first time, she hesitated. He slowly lifted the mask. And then, his breath left him. His heart stopped. It was her. Not a stranger. Not a mysterious seductress. His betrothed. The woman he had been promised to marry since birth. A woman he had never cared for. Never looked at twice. He stumbled back, his mind racing. But before he could speak, her voice cut through the silence. "You think that is the biggest secret?" she whispered. The air in the room grew heavy. The walls seemed to close in. She stepped closer, her eyes burning with a truth far more dangerous than he had expected. "I am already married," she said softly. His blood ran cold. She took another step, looking directly into his soul. "I was forced to marry your brother." The world tilted. His brother, the former crown prince, the man who should have ruled, the man who had died suddenly, years ago. He clenched his fists. "That's not possible," he whispered. She smiled, but there was no joy in it, only pain. "I was his secret wife, a young girl forced into a marriage I never wanted," she said. "And when he died, I was supposed to disappear, silenced forever." The prince felt like he couldn't breathe. "Then why are you here?" She lifted her chin, fire in her eyes. "Because I refused to let them erase me. So I became someone else. The masked seductress. The woman he had fallen for. The woman he could never have." The prince's chest heaved with anger. His blood boiled, not just with rage, but with something far more dangerous. Desire. He had spent weeks chasing her, craving her. And now, he finally knew the truth. The woman he had fallen for was the one he was meant to marry. The woman who should have been his, but had already belonged to another, his own brother. His hands clenched into fists. "You deceived me," he growled. "Why? Why play this game?" She stood before him, fearless. No more teasing, no more running. Only truth. "My marriage was a lie," she said softly. "A political trap. Your father ordered it. I was nothing but a tool, a pawn to strengthen alliances." The prince's jaw tightened. He had always known his father ruled with power, not love. But to force a young girl into a marriage she never wanted? To silence her after his brother's death? He took a step forward, his anger shifting, twisting into something else. "You could have told me," he said. She let out a bitter laugh. "And what would you have done?" "The kingdom would never let me remarry. A widow has only one fate, to be forgotten." Her voice trembled, but her eyes held fire. "But I refused to be caged." His breath caught. This was why he had been drawn to her. Not just because she was beautiful, not just because she was a mystery, but because she was free. Even in a world that tried to break her, she had made herself untouchable. His fingers brushed her cheek, trailing down to her lips. She didn't pull away. "I should hate you," he murmured. She smirked. "But you don't." Their lips met in a clash of anger, hunger, and something neither of them could name. There were no more masks, no more lies, only raw, burning passion. His hands gripped her waist, hers tangled in his hair. The fire that had been simmering between them finally exploded. She was forbidden. But tonight, nothing else mattered. The prince stood before the grand court, his heart pounding. The hall was filled with nobles, advisors, and warriors, each one watching, waiting for him to choose. On one side, his crown, his kingdom, everything he had been raised to protect. On the other, her, the woman who had defied him, deceived him, and yet was the only one who had ever truly matched him. He could still walk away. If he rejected her now, his throne would be safe, his kingdom would remain at peace. But at what cost? His eyes found hers across the room. She stood tall, unmasked, unafraid. Her fire still burned, but he saw something else now. A challenge. Would he be like every other king before him? Would he choose power over love? Or would he dare to change fate? Silence filled the hall as he took a step forward, then another, and then, in a single bold act, he reached for her hand. "I present to you." His voice rang through the chamber, strong and unshaken. "Your queen." The room exploded. Gasps, shouts, furious whispers. His advisors stepped forward, eyes wide, with rage. "You would betray the kingdom for her?" One bellowed. "She is unfit to rule." Another shouted. The prince turned to them, his grip on her hand tightening. "She is more fit than any of you," he said coldly. "She has fought for her freedom, while you cling to tradition like cowards." The court was in chaos, but he did not care. Let them scheme. Let them rise against him. He would fight them all. Because for the first time in his life, he was not just a prince, not just a ruler. He was a man who had chosen love over power. The masked seductress, his seductress, was now queen, and her story had only just begun. The prince believed he had uncovered everything, but he hadn't. There were more secrets, darker secrets, lurking beneath the surface, truths buried so deep that even she had not dared to speak them yet. Secrets about his family, secrets about his father's throne, secrets that could destroy them both. The battle for love had been won, but the war for the truth had only begun. What do you think about this video? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more stories.